We're skipping straight to that.
All right, so I think we're going to get started. So today's session is on specifically teaching individual lessons from an ecological perspective. I want to start by going around and doing a quick introduction and specifically to check in on your level of familiarity with the ecological approach, how your level of buy-in, like are you a true believer, are you a skeptic, somewhere in between, and if there's anything in particular you were looking to get out of this workshop, and then I'll just know where we're coming from so we can adjust things a little bit. So I'm Nathan Weston from the School of Arms in Boston. I know a lot about the ecological approach, I guess. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years and reading all the books and teaching these workshops and writing blog posts and stuff. And I am 100% bought in at this point, so we'll go around this way.
I'm Julie Gunn, also from the School of Arms in Boston, and also completely bought into this methodology.
I'm Fred from Boise, Idaho. I've seen people talking about it a lot, but I've never been 100% sure where the lines are drawn, and I want to know, I want to see how I can adjust the flavor of my soup in training, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I will ever necessarily buy into any particular training methodology 100%, but I will definitely adjust things based on how it feels and the results I see. So.
Cool.
I'm Max from Ecological Swords in New York. I am somewhat familiar in terms of the ideas and some of the practices of the ecological approach, but I wouldn't say I've like actively practiced them in sort of any regular fashion, but very open to it, and definitely here to like learn a little bit more about it, how you can apply it, particularly in HEMA, because I'm also like somewhat more familiar with it almost in other contexts in some ways. Yeah, just interested to hear more about it.
Ben from Philadelphia. I've heard the words before and thought it sounded good, and I've fenced a lot of your fencers before and always had a lot of fun with that, so I thought it'd be a good idea to come.
Which Philly club were you in?
Philadelphia Fencers Guild.
Okay, so yeah, so you guys are kind of somewhat doing like a lot of games and that sort of thing already. Cool. All right.
I'm Jordan from Fullerton. I'm buying more and more.
All right.
This is your third workshop of our series.
So let's see. So I have this whole like introductory spiel about like the theory behind this that I've given in the other 2 workshops I did this weekend, but we have a short time slot this morning, so I want to get into the practical stuff. I'm mostly going to skip over that, right?
Hammer through it. Go.
There's like one kind of relevant point that's going to connect to doing individual lessons. When we think of doing individual lessons from a traditional perspective, like as you would do them in modern fencing or classical fencing, the purpose is generally along the lines of the coach wants to create sort of ideal conditions so that the student can perform the correct movements, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean easy conditions, right? It could be, you could have only a moment in which to do your action. If we're really pushing the person, we can make it very hard, but I always want to be giving like the correct cue for the thing I want the student to do. And we're sort of like seeking perfection in the individual lesson, right? The ecological perspective on sort of all of teaching, but an individual lesson as well, is like what we're trying to do is present our student with representative fencing problems, which they can then practice solving. So representative is an unfortunate bit of jargon because it's hard to say, and I end up having to say it a bunch, which annoys me. But it's actually, like, meaning-wise, it's one of the less obscure things in the ecological approach. It basically just means the stuff that we're doing needs to be real in some sense. It needs to feel like fencing. and like the kind of physical dynamics of what we're doing, you know, the footwork, the acceleration, the changes of direction need to line up. So we don't want to be like very static doing our things. And also the information relationships need to kind of line up to fencing, right? So informally, like what you're doing should feel more like fencing than like a static drill, right? And then we need the student to actually be solving the problem that's in front of them at any given moment. So they're really paying attention to what you're doing and responding to all the details of that, rather than like, I'm looking for, you know, this specific blade action and I know that's the cue and I must respond with, you know, like you find my blade, I disengage it first, right? So we want them to be solving the problem in the moment, which necessarily means like a certain amount of variability. So all of this is going to look a little messier than a traditional type of lesson or drilling setup, because the coach is going to be doing different things, the student's going to be adapting to that, and it's not always going to be perfect, right? But actual fencing is kind of messy and it's not perfect, right? So this is like actually better practice for the reality of fencing. So to tie this into individual lessons, the easiest way to present someone with representative fencing problems, if you're like, I haven't done individual lessons, how do I start doing this, is just fence with them, right? That is 100% representative of fencing. And then if you can like structure that fencing somehow, give them some advice or guidance along the way, now you have a lesson, right? So like, you know, modern fencing coaches have this whole skill of giving lessons in their style, but there's a lot of work to develop, and that's really cool. But if you're a part-time HEMA instructor, you can also just start by like fencing and go from there, right? And so it can be very approachable to get into. And we can also add in, like, we can add some constraints to our fencing, so it's more like we're setting up a game with our students, or a little bit of more choreography, so something that's drill-like. We don't want it to be too static, but if we're used to teaching with games or teaching with drills, we can bring all of that into the individual lesson as well, right? When it comes to structuring a lesson, I have a framework here to sort of, as a starting point, right? This is an attempt to describe what I've been doing when I teach lessons. So it's not like a system that you must follow exactly, but hopefully it's a useful starting point. So there are 5 steps. First, we want to identify a specific fencing problem that the student's going to work on. I find I have the best luck with lessons that way. It's like, this is what's going wrong, how do we help you fix that, right? Then we want to reproduce that problem, make it happen in a representative fencing environment of some sort, so we can actually see what the student is running into, and you know, give them conditions to practice fixing that. Step 3, we want to choose some direction for improvement. So that doesn't mean I know the exact answer to your solution, the exact answer to your problem, but I have some idea of like, okay, there's something about the mechanics of this that I think are off. If we can make your movement a little more efficient, this will work better. Or I think you're doing it at the wrong time. Let's focus on the setup, right? 4th step, we want to add some constraints. You know, some game rules, some kind of task we're trying to get the student to do that like leads them toward that improvement, right? And then we're going to practice for a while, and the last thing is we just assess how it's going, and we adjust, and we sort of go back through the last 3 steps as many times as we need to until we're happy with the result, right? So basically the rest of this workshop is we're going to try this out. So what we're going to do is pair up, and each of you is going to, you know, each pair will have a student and a coach, and we'll go through the whole lesson, kind of step by step, guided, and then we'll switch roles, and we'll do another lesson. And hopefully, we will fit that into what's left of our hour. So, what kind of weapons are people wanting to work with today? Because that maybe we can start pairing up.
I think. I have long swords, arm swords, small swords.
Okay.
Whatever people want to do. I have a long sword.
Longsword, okay.
Focus right here.
Just rapiers, okay.
I've got 2 small swords.
And you're not doing participating?
Yeah, I mean, I can do lighter stuff. For sure.
Yeah.
I have a long sword, so I could hop in with long sword too.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I have a long sword and a side sword.
right,
And a helmet and gloves.
If you do like, are you comfortable doing like mask and gloves?
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
mask and gloves.
I would normally like to do lessons in full gear,
Yeah.
but it's better. So like if you two pair up and do a long sword thing,
Yeah.
keep it light.
Yeah.
These are really simple.
I'm actually very chill and came in full kit. You know, real relaxed guy.
I'm actually a teddy bear.
Yeah. So probably good if you two had like same level of gear
Yeah.
on. So
Okay.
if you're just at the right level. Do you have any thoughts to add to the intro?
Folks are like, I don't know how I like it. What I'm talking here.
Yeah.
I think I had thought, but I can't think of it something I hadn't thought, but maybe on the thing I can chat.
Okay.
And it wasn't bad, it was good.
Is that on stock? Yeah.
It really changes the game. It's. I fence both.
I was mentioning to one of my students, and he's like, why are you getting so many points? And I was like, don't worry about it. and then he looks at it and he goes, I got a number 5, you got a number 2. I'm like, I'm 2 or 3 inches closer than you. I'm like, that's fine. He's like, no, I don't want to. Okay, fine. I was just going to let it be a little bit harder on me, and that would be okay.
Actually, one question, how many of you regularly give private lessons to your students? Regularly, being a big, or like,
Yeah,
at all versus
occasionally.
occasionally?
Yeah, no, I would say like a few times a year usually, but I like to do it more.
Okay, so grab your partner, figure out who's going to be the student first, and then we want to figure out what we're working on.
Sure.
And ideally, we're looking for something that's really specific and actionable, right? Like, I find often students will be like, I want to work on Spearhow today. It's like, why?
Right.
What fencing problem are we trying to solve, right? Because we can make a much better and more focused lesson if it's like, well, I keep getting hit by big overhows and I think I can counterattack them with the Spearhow, as opposed to like, this is a cool move, I want to do it, right? Sometimes a student just wants to learn the cool move, and in that case, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to make up a fencing problem for you to solve with this cool move. But if we can start from the problem and be really specific and get something actionable, I think that's ideal. So figure that out, and when you figured it out, or if you feel like you're stuck, just let me know, and we'll do a quick check-in before we move on.
Should we pick something like that we actually have a problem with, or
I
something we don't?
want to deep
Pick
targets.
something you actually want to work on. Yeah.
I feel like my
I
face
suck
are
at
not
throwing
cool
it
enough
and
most of
covering
the
my
time,
head.
and I want.
Okay.
So like
all the classic
I can
faint
usually
arms
get in,
and
okay.
like
you- okay.
Say like I
I'm not good
go
at.
here,
Yeah.
right, but I'm maybe a little too close.
So,
I'm bad at like covering head, getting out,
okay.
kind of thing.
Okay.
Especially with long swords. I'm much better with side sword.
Oh, really? I love
Yeah.
side sword. That's the best. Okay.
So just like eavesdropping on that, I would want to figure out a little bit more about the context
Yeah.
in which this is happening. So what you mimed there,
Right.
it looked like it was like a hand snipe.
Yeah, so it might be a hand step, it might be just like, I think I've got, a pretty good angle to try and like close them out for a head strike, but then maybe it doesn't work, right?
Okay.
Some they move their hands up, or something, they've gotten around me, so they're capable of coming down here. And then as I'm just not fast, I'm not moving fast enough for it, my brain is like processing like,
Okay.
I can't cover it, right? Like I don't process that.
So it could be like you attack and they parry or riposte, or it could be like you can't snipe and they counter and you double.
Or especially if they're taller, I might like try to go low because they're holding their hands up, right? And I'm like, well, you're open here. Cool. Right.
All right.
So now we come up with like a game for.
Yeah, we're gonna all check in before we move on to the
Okay.
next step. Are you here for teaching with the ecological approach?
You should be.
I should be, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be here.
Oh, yeah.
That's also it.
No?
I need this stuff at least for this class.
Have you not
Thanks.
checked your mask?
No problem.
Nope.
Okay, how are you two doing on coming up with a thing to work on? Identifying a problem.
So he wants to work on like hit to the shallow, hit to the deep target sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, nice. And is there like a particular way that tends to go wrong for you?
Usually my feints just aren't read as believable.
Okay,
So I need to improve the believability of that feint.
they don't respond to the
Before.
shallow threat. Yeah.
Which is what I was experiencing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it looks like you two were doing a little bit of fencing already and sort of reproducing it. And I think you two are all set on having a problem. So let's move on to the next step, right, is we want to reproduce this. And we want it to be a representative environment, right? So you could do this by just fencing, or like, as the coach, you have an idea of what they're looking for, so you can fence in a particular way that leads toward that problem. Or you could try to set up a little game or a drill-like situation, just so we can get the problem happening in a sort of live way, right? It might take a few tries, right? You might be fencing and you're like not seeing the problem come up. And so you need to check in with your student and be like, what are we not getting here? Like, am I not setting things up in the way that you meant? Or, get to the bottom of that. And that's pretty much the idea. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's get through that step. I think you mostly already had it, but you can play around with it a little bit more. And we'll give this a try.
Okay, so do you just want to
I think I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Primarily
something like
in here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe this
See if you
is
can
straight.
face that out.
Yeah, okay.
To disengage.
Okay.
I feel like
Let's see how it goes.
your issues in the second intervention. Maybe do you want to try to feint and then go for the head, or
Yeah.
just something like that? Yeah.
Right.
Not that the arm.
Yeah, it's too long of a disengage too.
Yeah. Nice.
I was like, don't flush, don't flush, don't flush.
Oh, sorry. I think I don't know what it is, but I can definitely tell that you're not actually dedicated to
Yeah.
that hand hit.
So it sounds like
I think-
you've reproduced the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's the goal for this.
Right.
So we have a success. And yeah, like you can definitely start thinking about next steps. But that's goal accomplished for now. Cool. How's it going for you two?
Pretty good. I think I have an idea of what could be kind of an opening. Is that what we're looking for? Like,
like I'm leaving.
yeah, like something you're leaving to try to.
You're seeing the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, so,
At least an idea of, like-
so what did it take for you guys to reproduce the problem? Like, what are the circumstances where that came up?
In going for the hands and then going like I'm trying to go for your head.
Yeah, that's what I saw a few times too, and it, like, what I saw mostly was you would start to go for the hands and then it would work to go for the head, but that might also be like because we're in low gear,
Yeah,
you probably
yeah,
want
there's-
to go
yeah.
all out for the head. So yeah, I think that's probably like the moment that we're looking at, so that's good. What did it take for you two?
He just gave me a juicy hand, and then I don't know. I don't know what happens. I get to like here, and it's just not real enough for him to believe it. And I don't want to commit to footwork. I feel like for that hand hit, if my intention is to get some sort of parry as I come in, and then come under.
Right. Okay. Cool. So basically, you're just fencing in this particular guard that presents the opening,
Right.
and that's a good situation for you to see your thing. Cool. So that that step is done, right? So what we need to do now is choose a direction for improvement, right? So again, not necessarily the specific solution, but just to get an idea of what we're going to work on. Is it the mechanics of that action? Is it something about the timing or the setup? When you're doing this lesson, like with a student, this can happen entirely in your head, right? You've just been watching them fence, and you're like, okay, I think I know what the thing is. It's also totally fine to talk to your student as part of that process. For today, for learning purposes, let's talk it over with our partner and try to figure out what our direction for improvement is going to be, right? So we don't need to like create a drill yet or any constraints. We're just figuring out how we're going to start addressing this problem. Make sense? All right, let's give that a go, and I'll just hover around if you have any questions.
So my initial thought is maybe you just simply aren't dedicating enough to actually do that. And I do whatever tells me.
I felt like it was short.
I understand that's not actually
a bit of a
a real shot. So I use that to, it's cover my hand, yes, but also for that.
Figure out
disengage
what
to happen right away.
Okay.
the closest way to get to your next line
And
is
maybe
Right.
would
the best way to do that is that
be how that was, you know,
Yeah.
placed.
and then
Just sit and hit and see if I can make that effect.
yeah,
Yeah, like I felt like there was an
And
angle
still
that
in that
kind of
tempo.
sneak in a little bit.
Right.
And then also, yeah, the disengage
Yeah,
is kind of huge. So it's
yeah,
difficult.
really.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
It's
Um,
long sword.
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Like cut around with these huge motions. That doesn't do anything here.
Yeah.
And then like trying to remember back to times when this has happened.
Yeah.
And I'm almost wondering
Combining
if this is all, like combined with that, there's also a sneaky distance problem of like,
Oh, distance
Right,
is everything.
right, so if I come in, and I'm like, again, like coming in low,
It's not a,
and I'm
it's a really small
expecting
area you have
them,
to disengage.
but maybe I'm
especially
expecting
if
them
you
to
are-
retreat a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And like,
I'm
if
already
they
coming
hold their
up.
ground, and then I come in
Really only
deeper
that.
to
Right.
go for
You
a
might not
deeper
get the
target.
angle right, yeah.
Right.
And even if I was doing it here with a cut through.
Because I think I'm
still not
maintaining
substantially
consistency
lower.
better right now
So maybe it's
than
a
maybe I always do when I'm fencing.
maybe it's a
maybe-
little laterally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another problem. I come from like modern
Okay.
foil fencing,
Gotcha.
and so it's like I'm still.
Okay.
I've been doing this for 2 years, but
Yeah.
I'm still getting better at like really doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
To
So
get that really tight disengage and
Yeah.
stay on
Disengage
the arm.
to the
So-
arm.
Yeah.
I mean, these higher.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
look for the more
On the
direct line.
Or
Yeah.
direct
Not like call it over, I feel like.
taking more of an angle.
Yeah.
All right, so it sounds like you two
Like maybe
are
think about
in
keeping
good
your,
shape.
like,
You have a
keeping your running outline.
Yeah.
Priorities as a like big priority for a little while.
How's it going under you?
I think well.
Yeah, we have a couple ideas.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, what have you got, and we'll see what you got.
We were talking about for sort of, I guess, speeding up the cover, looking for the more direct line for your parry,
Okay.
and instead of making kind of a more sweeping action, trying to just get as quick like as possible.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, and I think on top of that, just keeping in mind like footwork things, not distance and angles, and maybe if I'm trying to cover my head,
Yeah.
don't forget you can angle your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. One of the sort of rules of thumb that I have is like to always look for physical causes of things, right? It's when people feel like they're making a bad decision or they have a thinking problem, often there's a physical thing preceding that, and usually that thing is distance. So like the simpler rule of thumb is like it's probably distance, because it's fencing and it's always probably distance. How are you two doing?
So my first thought was work on like committing to actually getting that hand. So it gets a feeling for like actually sending, because I think it's kind of he's hesitant to actually hit on that first intention, and then maybe work on smaller disengages.
Yeah, he had an idea of restricting the target to the arm, so even if I disengage out, still going for an arm hit, but deeper.
Oh,
That
really,
yeah,
that tighten up my disengage a lot too.
that's nice. Yeah. So this is good, and like, this kind of shows some of the ways in which a framework like this is artificial. Like in thinking about the direction of improvement, you're also already thinking about constraints that go there, right? Like actually hitting the hand, or going then for the deeper arm target. So, which is meant to be like the next step, but but again, like the steps are for illustrative purposes. When you actually teach a lesson, it kind of all
Descriptive rules.
right. It all kind of blurs together. So that's awesome that you're on to the next step. So for you two, we need to think of some kind of way of constraining the fencing that leads us to this problem, right? So it might be something like you're only looking for the hand snipe, right? And you're primarily looking, when you see it for the counterattack or opposed to that.
Yeah.
So that's probably good. Sounds like a good starting point.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that constraint. Now I think. Sorry, I'm losing track of my own. What steps are we on? Right. So constraint is the fourth step, right? So now we get into really the meat of the practice. We're setting up some constraints that are sort of shaping our students' actions and their decisions that are going to lead them toward hopefully this thing we're trying to improve. So what we're going to do now is just practice a little bit with that constraint, right? So do like a few minutes of this. I'll keep an eye on the clock, but also if you feel like either you've made some good progress or you're stuck, just let me know, and we can sort of go from there.
So, you've got hand targets.
Yeah. And what can we add to this?
Yeah.
Let's start like at a proper distance.
Okay, I love it. Yeah.
Come in to it, and
Yeah.
so that way I'm really like
Yeah.
trying to get the right
Yeah.
distance for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, passe.
just doing a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you keep doing the distance.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely more scared of the hammer. Sorry. Yeah.
That's not, I'm not disengaged, I'm not getting a second.
Yeah. Better. Yeah. I think I see the issue.
Oh. All right, so let's gather around. It looks like in both groups we have some progress, and also maybe we have some new challenges, right? So this brings us to our last step, which is assessing where we're at and adjusting. So there are a few different ways we might want to adjust things. If our student is not making progress, it seems like they're really stuck, we might want to find a way to make things a little easier for them. I don't think any of us ran into that problem here. We might find that our constraint wasn't working. It wasn't causing the change we expected. And so we had to come up with a new constraint. I don't think we had that problem either. If things are working well, and now the student is just succeeding all the time, we might need to make things harder. Did either of you feel like you got to that point?
I think we probably were hitting that point.
Yeah.
I think so.
So you might need to find a way to challenge things more.
I have like one idea for that.
It seems like you two had some progress, but now like new difficulties, right? So that's like, if either we achieved the change we were looking for and it didn't solve the problem, or maybe we achieved the change and it improved things, but now we see like a next step. Now we need to go back to step 3 and pick a new direction for improvement, right? And then a new constraint for that. And you know, we just sort of iterated this, right? So within both groups, figure out what kind of adjustment you need to make, and then go back as many steps as you need to make that adjustment. Do a little bit more practice. If in the course of that practice you want to make another adjustment, then go ahead with that. And we'll just run with that for a few minutes until we run out of time, which will be pretty soon actually. We need to switch lessons.
So I think the issue is you're disengaging with your arm instead of with your finger.
Okay.
And I've done a game kind of on that before where
Like,
you're
like once I
constrained
come into
to
distance,
not
maybe.
moving your arm at all.
Okay.
So if you keep your arm out, you find something here.
Yeah.
And that,
See if I can
that
make
means I
that.
can't. It doesn't. I can't buy myself more time.
Yeah.
Using my feet, which like normally I do. But I have that. Like,
Yeah, you got that
pretty
now, yeah.
automatic, almost too automatic.
Yeah.
But so I think it would like help me
Yeah.
be a little more conscious about my movement there.
You wanted to focus on you and Harry
Yeah.
in line too.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that's good. All right, so I'll focus on going to encourage us to keep going on. Okay.
Too much elbow.
with this, but I won't leave time for us to switch roles and do the other lesson. So, any final thoughts on how that went, or any questions?
Jordan, you can do my coach if you wanted.
Your disengages were a lot quicker. I think I would want to try out other games to try to get them more tactically useful. Sure.
Yeah, cool.
And then get committed hands. Yeah, definite improvement.
Nice, thank you.
This is one of the really cool things about individual lessons is that the whole process can go really quickly, right? So you can do an activity for 2 minutes, and then you're like, okay, I'm seeing the change I need. Let's move on to the next challenge. Or I'm not seeing the change, let's adjust, and you can really cycle through.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean if you do 15 minutes of work with a student that they've solved their problem.
Right.
But you can get them to solve the problem within the lesson, right? And now they at least know what they need to keep working on. And that's actually how I usually use lessons. Is like, I'm not gonna spend an hour with someone to really solidify that solution. I just want them to see the path forward.
Right.
And then in their own practice, they can do that. Any thoughts from you two?
Was that helpful for like?
Yeah,
I had trouble getting anything through. I felt like
I think I definitely have more ideas on like constraints. I think constraints also, they're like, or rules maybe for these kind of games is like, think about, rules maybe not just because the student, but also like, consistent triggering actions from the coach, right? So if you're coaching, like, I think you kept worrying about protecting your hands, and now when I started to realize this the second time, it's like, you should just double it. Because my problem is hitting someone, I'm getting hit in the head, and it's an afterblow or a double, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you're not getting anything through because against you, if we were fencing and you have to come back, it probably wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
It would be. The problem is like, oh, sure, I'm getting a hit.
Yeah.
But I'm getting hit worse, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
you should just bonk me every time I go for the hands.
Yeah. And so, this is the kind of thing that can often happen is like, as we go through the lesson, we start to understand the problem better.
Right.
And if we had more time today, you could do another iteration of the adjustment, and now you could dial in on that problem even more, right? Cool. All right, so let's switch roles. And we're gonna go a little faster through this one because I don't need to like explain the steps. So let's start by identifying, we can probably identify and reproduce a problem in one go, right? So do both of those things and then put your hand up or something,
So
check.
in getting into the bind, even if there's like a neutral
Well, I mean, even if it's right here, right there.
So let me just mention
just habitual,
I get it.
you know.
Yeah, which, yeah.
It works to an extent,
Right,
but
that's why it gets ingrained.
yeah, it's got its limits.
Yeah.
Control and kind of build a habit of feeling
I feel like once I get into
just,
that,
you know,
So really testing the
yeah,
ruling.
like instead of going around, going back more, you know,
Okay.
like gathering.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I have an idea for
listen, I know like a couple different ways.
what I think I would do.
Doing stuff in the bar.
It's gonna feel a lot like our last practice.
Or
So,
start
we'll see.
fencing from the bar.
Yeah.
Right,
So
short
we're
games.
just-
Yeah.
Where you, and
Let's do that then.
if you want to, because you're always going around, things are coming off. So I have like played a game before where you're in the bind, you can't come off bind.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of get the feel, try to throw, and we're just focusing. So I think, if we're just like come to the heads,
Yeah.
because we got masks, and focus on, just work on that at first, and then let's see how the problem develops a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna just let you.
Yeah.
Like I'm really trying to start. So.
Nice.
But,
Disengage a bit quicker.
Good. Nice.
Let's do 2 more.
Yeah.
Some thoughts.
Nice. That was beautiful. So
Nice. That's good.
we replicated it, I think, a bunch of times. Yeah. Right. As soon as you decide that your thought was the opposite of what we were doing before, right? They're direct attacking somewhere, right, and then disengaging, and you're not re-engaging before you launch your
There's a
attack.
couple, there's a couple things
So
like,
there
you know,
was
one reason you may not
3 or 4 of those that I
is
think
coming back.
you caught it and made it work
Sometimes
really well.
when you
And
come
there was 3 or 4
You're actually not making yourself
where we doubled up.
You're coming back. You know,
Into their thought, right? And I was like,
I'm
well,
always thinking like,
what was going to happen if we were actually fencing? I was
a
going to
little
disengage
bit.
the fire against you.
You come back to
Because
that. My weak was when you're strong.
if they're worried
But
about
if that's not gonna work, if I'm
attacking
still here,
before they
I just have to go
before
forward.
they launch
Yeah.
their actual
Or
attack, then
in
it's
a
not.
couple of instances,
Well, then you're not
where I
going to
was
wind up that situation.
attacking me, which I
So
thought
they
was
must
a lot of
be
times. But I can see
disengaging
the opportunity.
and just
If I was better, or if I was your height,
Yeah.
I would hold on a couple more times.
if I give you a bunch of
But
attack, disengage, attack,
so I
you
think
should
like
get lots of opportunities
focus
to try to
on
re-engage
okay, sure,
when they're in spread up, right? I'll be creating, right? I'll be the one moving from one to spread out most of the
You look at
time.
the illustrations.
They're moving.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not
I think we
like,
should do
Yeah.
that.
you know. So
Right? And I'll try not to
I feel like the other
try not to keep it very simple, right? Attack different lines, but always
approach.
direct attack
I
in,
can see a couple of
and then
different
if you
things.
move, immediate disengage and
Focus on one and
move to another
say,
target.
you know, for this game, focus on.
I'll be trying to go for the
Pull back,
control.
like you
counter
did.
advice.
Right.
Then-
And if you can lock
Yeah,
out
make
that
sure
first
you
direct
have
attack
locked
and
out.
then
So it might be
great,
pulling
right?
back, but then
If you
shoving immediately, or
if that
maybe
first
pulling-
direct attack
I
doesn't
would
land,
try to
you
like
lock out
pick the one that
the
you
second
think is
attack.
most important.
Also,
Okay.
Focus on that first.
right, perfect.
And then
right,
keep the
well,
other
then
one
there's a
in
good
mind.
chance
Yeah.
in both those
Maybe-
cases you get
And
one
maybe
line
the
in.
fix is not fixing the first one.
Right,
or
or maybe the
right.
first one doesn't work at all.
Right.
And you're like, oh, let's try the second one instead, or some combination. You know?
Yeah.
So how's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Sweaty.
Same deal.
Yeah.
So my thought maybe just where my brain was. His issue was not controlling the sword when they went to spread up.
Yeah.
Right. So my thought is, well, if I just initiate with a direct attack,
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
he's going to I've entered spread up. Right, he's either going to control and attack. If he fails to control, then I'll hit. If he begins to control and I can disengage, I'll disengage around, and he needs to re-engage on the other side.
Okay.
Right. Either way, the goal for him is to control the sword and to attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are two very realistic scenarios. Right? And if
Yeah.
he doesn't, I just double it.
Right. Right. Yeah. So again, yeah, this is an interesting thing. Like, I've never run this workshop before, and I also, due to various reasons, haven't run many private lessons in between, like writing my framework and teaching the workshop.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is what I think I'm doing. But an interesting thing that I'm seeing, like, particularly with you guys both times through, is like the act of reproducing kind of suggests the constraint, right? It's like you already have a task or a way you're going to fence. You have an opposing task, and that's our constraint, right? It's like we just need to sort of push ourselves into the situation.
Right.
We might eventually get to like some way we need to refine what you're doing. But as a starting point, just like the constraints that create the problem are also a good way to start working on it. So that's pretty cool. How's it going over here?
Good, yeah. I think, you know, we're going to take the game. He's got a renewed focus. I don't think we necessarily, I've added one possibility on my side. If he overdoes wind out, I'm going to come off, which I was allowed to do before, but because we've changed his focus a little bit, I have to add a little, an additional risk so that we're not overcorrecting in the wrong direction.
Yeah, cool. So you guys have also flowed very naturally in figuring out the constraint. Awesome. So let's, we have that constraint, let's practice with that constraint, see how it's going, and make adjustments. I'm going to let you just keep going until we run out of time. If you have any questions or thoughts, just let me know. Or you need safe room or whatever.
So let's do
We have about 5 minutes.
So I landed that one to the head. So for that, what rate do you do? Right. So you need to hide more, right? You
So
came
there's
up to like here, and that still left me the angle.
I feel like you're almost
Because our disc is so little, right? You've got to hide a little bit higher for that to work.
like the ones before. Well, I don't know what to do over. It feels like you're starting to go over on your own.
Okay.
I think you're like,
Okay.
But I mean, there was every chance that was passe from here.
if I was burying the vine, I might know why that was. But I don't claim to be particularly good in one of Right?
I want to see that high inside, right? Yeah. Better. It just slipped off there. Now, the apprentice has become the master.
Alright, let's do one more.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, that outside one seems a lot easier for
A
you.
lot easier, yeah.
one, I still think you can lean more.
Okay.
Do not be afraid to take a risk.
Yeah.
But
I think I would be.
you are
Yeah, sort of support like that.
trying,
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
you're most of the time, that's when we're blocking.
Yeah.
One snap. But I think that I'm trying to get you a little more than you're getting me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
I think
like,
just barely.
why is that?
Yeah,
Has it changed?
I didn't feel anything, but I believe it. How are you
Let's.
feeling? A couple more passes?
Yeah.
Here's also a question. I'm just curious.
Faster?
Sure. Because I think
Here you go.
I wouldn't say we've regressed, but maybe I've started thinking subconsciously different or something. Do you think sometimes it makes sense to take a step back from what your constraints are? Not necessarily starting fresh, but saying like, what maybe we need to do is rather than you focusing on the back, let me see you just trying to get next in that bind.
Yeah.
Right, so when we're in the bind, just go for math.
I feel like
Don't worry about coming
really
because
focusing on,
you're focusing
on sticking my sword to your weak
on coming
until
back
I can
and trying to
actually
lean or
drop
do
the
something
point in.
that like
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Those things are like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's
For
exactly
whatever
the thing,
reason,
right?
Yeah.
Just like when we were
And I
doing
haven't
my
quite identified
disengages
this,
or my pancakes, right?
but
Well, if I'm not actually,
You're
using
actually-
hand, then why are you scared?
Yeah.
getting weaker,
Right? If my disengages are like this,
maybe the issue is you're coming back, but you're not
So-
getting
That's kind of fencing.
You're just kind of
Well, yes, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Turns out,
Yeah.
turns out coming down
Yeah.
the first time. you're actually
It's
like
just
you
actually
come back,
implementing
you
it is
think
actually a
you
pain in the butt.
Yeah.
but then you immediately start to weaken. And I can feel that. So
Yeah.
let's focus on
Three for three at full speed.
just feel when you can take my blade and pick.
Well,
Because at the end of the
speed,
day,
right?
you know, I
If
may
no
be
one else
wrong.
is faster than me, then
Maybe I
you're
need to adjust more what I'm doing to be the right
It is
fence
also
for
a
your
question.
machine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
With less guard,
So,
probably.
Yeah, that point,
The
like,
process question.
I'm
How
so
do you-
close, this is crazy.
And this is always hard to know where to
It's-
draw the line.
It's one of those things, when I find a rapier and I hand him a small sword, it takes like 2 exchanges to learn the range. And now everything is exactly the same.
That struggle is productive up to a point.
I love small
And it's
swords,
not productive.
particularly. This is a
And
gigantic
going where that
recommendation.
line is
Buy a bunch of plastic foils from
but I
the
do
Gauntlet.
think
They're 30
we have
bucks a
a
piece.
tendency as teachers
You
to
don't need jackets, they buckle at 4 pounds.
Oh.
So you throw a mask on and you can do a
Okay,
bunch of
and maybe-
thrust-centric
maybe just
fencing
lean in
in just
like
shirts.
that. You're struggling
Which
with this thing, keep struggling.
In July or whatever,
You're not, like, about
if you're doing a lesson out
yeah,
in the park,
yeah,
right?
keep going.
As long as you're not frustrated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things for I teach saber primarily, right? But foil leads so directly to the saber practice that I wind up doing a bunch of lessons in foil.
Okay. Do you want to try it? You want to just sit
And
on
it is so nice when we're out in the park and it's 90 degrees. Just put a mask on.
Yeah.
Just a mask and a glove and you're fine. We'll go.
Okay, we have about 1 more minute.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll
let's
get
just
stopped.
stop.
Yeah, everything went great. Jordan did spectacular. 3 for 3 at full time solves the problem.
Alright, ready?
Okay.
You've got a victory rate?
Yeah.
Single or
Single and tier P. Yeah.
you're gonna intense sniper style maybe.
Oh, cool.
It'll be cool.
Let's do one more. I've seen something else.
Yeah.
I've watched you a lot, and I noticed a lot.
No, very good.
Okay.
Well,
So, the last thing I noticed
rapier
there,
competition is
which
just
I sort of kind of
in
noticed
my experience watching it. I've never competed in it, but every time I watch it, I'm like,
When you're
there
coming back.
sure is a lot of
to get
wow.
you're like
Yeah.
trying to build momentum
Well,
to push me back away.
So I'm hoping
And to do that,
to
you
wait
do
out the
this.
cut.
Okay.
And once you're like this, I'm over you.
Okay.
Right? If I was this tall, I would have but even at this height, or if I was your color, right? You're letting me think about it. That's what's going to be
Okay.
And if you're letting me know,
it's not different enough.
you don't need to go, when you pull back, you don't need to go like this. You're back. Push.
Just double check.
Thank you.
Oh, I see Cassidy stuff.
That may be.
So, I wanna wrap up real quick so we can, clear the room for the next class. One thing I've learned is I should have had 90 minutes for this class. But
I thought there were on the schedule.
so next time, I have a QR code you can scan to get my class notes for all the workshops this weekend. That also is my contact info if you want to follow up with this.
You're on the Eagle Square, right?
Yeah, yes. I'll find you there.
I'll message you.
Okay.
My phone and my phone.
Yeah, no problem. All of this, the workshops I'm teaching this weekend were developed as part of the HEMA Alliance instructor training program. We also have online workshops. We can do in-person workshops. The HEMA Alliance has money to like send us places to teach workshops. So if you have interest, get in touch. We'll set stuff up. And that's all for now. And we can like hang out in the hallway and chat for a few minutes.